So, we promised you more stuff. Here's some stuff. I'm Ian, he's Steve. We're doing an RPG called Downbelow, and I'm going to ask him a question about the setting of this RPG. Today's question is, name some events, if you would, in the history of this setting that help to define PCs or NPCs. These events can be, something to help you build their history. 5 minutes or less, and go.
All right, some events in the setting that can help define history. This is actually a hard question because a lot of specific events have not been nailed down yet, so let's begin. First off, where were you when the space elevator was first opened? This really only affects older characters, as the space elevator has been a part of life for well over a generation, but everyone alive on opening day remembers it. This is a formative event. Second is
I think we'd established around 50 years ago.
50 years-ish, yes. I had toyed originally with it being over 100, but 100 is a long time if we want it to have a cyberpunk instead of straight sci-fi feeling. Similar events include opening of the second space elevator, back when they were not a routine thing yet, ribbon cutting on Lagrange City, and first feedback from an extrasolar colony. These are a lot of firsts that will help define a generation.
So there have been a bunch of firsts in the last 50 years, so our
Sure
first
have.
thing was firsts. What's our second thing?
The next thing,
probably not seconds.
Let's talk about conflicts. This has been a world without open war for quite some time. However, there have been quite a few major conflicts in the recent era. There has been, for instance, the absorption of Japan by China, as well as the absorption of Korea by China, the absorption of the Indian subcontinent by China, and, well, basically China's been spreading out to become a social and economic superpower. This was not always peaceful. They'll say it was, it will look that way, and on the long term it is, but this was not always peaceful. These shadow wars, among others, can very definitely shape a character. Further shadow wars have happened, such as within the United States. There has not been a major civil war since the 1800s, but there have in fact been armed conflicts as people, especially as things moved closer to a one-world economy, they were hushed up and kept under the carpet, but military force was used. In South America, always a hotbed, now actually open war between several drug cartels and national governments. The Southeast Asia was unified under one roof, but there are racial tensions run very deep. Short version, the only place without significant armed conflict on the face of the planet besides certain island nations is Australia and Antarctica, and on the one hand it's because it has always been a single monocontinent sovereign nation since its inception as a sovereign nation. Let's leave the Aboriginal violence out of that for the moment. And on the other hand, because there are no permanent residents and no one really wants to go to war over a chunk of ice anyway.
And honestly, most of the Aboriginal violence was accidental through disease anyway. So, let's move on to another thing. The second thing was conflict. The third thing...
The third thing is going to be society. I don't have names for a lot of these musicians yet, but it's been 50 years. There have been a lot of major musicians. There have been a lot of major entertainment breakthroughs. There have been celebrities who have lived, celebrities who have died, celebrities who have converted to strange religions.
All right, so I've got a good question to clarify on that particular point. So, what is the new form of entertainment that is new and hot now in this setting? For real life, it's pretty much interactive media, like video games. What is the thing beyond that
The current
in Downbelow?
The current controversial form of entertainment is full-on inductive virtual reality. You've seen this in a bunch of science fiction and cyberpunk properties, the most memorable in movies right now probably being The Matrix. Imagine The Matrix, where you plug in to experience your favorite movie, though, well, we'll get to that in a second. You plug in to experience it in first or third person as you choose. There are controversial aspects of this, basically, including what does this do to the person's brain? If they have a cybernetic implant, well, that's already wired in, but you're still talking about direct neural access. It's also controversial about what happens when someone is recorded in an intimate moment or without their permission, etc. Furthermore, there's been an additional advancement in it with the return of interactivity, because it was the new hotness now. It is still the new hotness 50 years from now. What about those
But it's
things
new
where
forms
you
of it.
take control of a virtual situation? Especially when it's an augmented reality situation. The biggest fad craze is a virtual reality game where the players actually play in real reality with VR overlaid on it directly into their heads. I shouldn't need to say why this is controversial, but if you'd like to know more, ask us a question in the comments below or over at our Patreon page, and we will address that in a future 5-minute supplement, because I am out of time as of now.
Good night for now, loyal viewers.